You're watching episode number 25 of the Emotional Freedom Podcast, and in today's episode, I want to talk about why things happen. So stay tuned. Hi, and welcome back to the Emotional Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Bong. Now, if this is the first time that you are here, I want to warmly welcome you to join me on this podcast. Now, this is a daily podcast which I publish on the different podcasting platforms like, for example, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, as well as on YouTube and on Facebook. So you can go and search back to all the other episodes that I have made in the past. And the whole idea behind this podcast is to share with you ideas, tips, etc. that is meant to be your support, be to help you on this journey as you go about mastering your own emotional states. Now, in today's episode, I want to quickly talk about, when people say things happen, and there are some people who feels that things happen to them, and it makes them feel like they are helpless, they are victims. Yet there are also other people who feels that things happen for them, meaning to say the things that happen, it's meant for them to learn something, to grow and to improve. And so which of this is correct? Now, I want to discuss about this in more detail in today's episode. Now, personally, I believe that things happen for a reason. And I believe that sincerely, even though I don't quite understand what the reason is in the first place. You see, there are lots of things that happen around us, and there are things that happen out of the blue, things that totally unexpected. Sometimes they are good, sometimes they are bad, and sometimes we just scratch our head and wonder, what on earth did that happen for? You see, the thing here is, as human beings, we really do not know. We don't have that amount of, infinite wisdom to know what is the purpose of things that's going on. But have you ever experienced this, yeah? You take a step back, or maybe many years down the road, when you reminisce your life, when you look back on your life, and then suddenly you begin to discover that indeed there was a pattern in place. And maybe you made the right choice at that time, so you ended up where you are today. Or conversely, you may have made the wrong choice at that time, and also you end up where you are today. So today, I want to talk about what is the purpose there and what we can do with things that are happening in our life, both the good and the bad. Now, what I'm doing now today is I'm a trainer. So if you have followed me for many episodes, you know what I do. I'm the first accredited NLP trainer in East Malaysia. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is none other than a form of practical psychology. So I help people to achieve breakthroughs in their emotion, in their personal life, in their family life, in their business, etc. But if I were to look back, would I know where I would be today, say 10 years ago when I started it off? Or if I were to go back maybe a bit further to maybe say 15 or 16 years ago? The truth is, I wouldn't know. Let me share with you how it all came about. It was in the early 2000s, where I became a lecturer in a private college. And at that time, what I wanted was I just wanted to be a full-time academician. I want to be a lecturer, and then eventually work my way up to be a professor. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to teach. I wanted to share knowledge. I wanted to help people become better. That was what I have always wanted to be. So in this very small private college in Miri, we have a shortage of staff, and because I was more of a general background, meaning to say I know a lot of the subjects. So what happened was, for any subjects that they did not have a lecturer, guess what? I was the guy. So by the time I resigned from that college, I calculated I have taught close to 20 different subjects in the business diploma program. And that's a lot. That's a lot of subjects to prepare, to research, to teach. And at that time, when I was going through it, I felt really, really tired. I also felt frustrated. Now, so Does it make sense to you that, you do something that you really enjoy and yet you felt as if you are burning out or you're tired, etc.? Well, I want you to imagine that for a bit, because that was exactly how I felt. I loved the job. The pay was okay, could have been better, but I really loved the teaching. And yet, I was overworking myself. I was teaching, I was lecturing up to 40 hours a week, whereby the normal teaching hours per lecturer per week is less than 20 hours. And in some universities, they try to limit it to about 12 hours. I was doing about 4 times that, 40 hours a week. And I would remember that I would bring 2 large, this container of water, each one about 2 liter, and I would just bring 2 of them to the college. And by the end of the day, sometimes I need to buy even more water to drink. So at the end of every week, I always have a sore throat. I was always like, the throat was very dry. And it was because of non-stop lecturing. So at that time, I was pretty frustrated because I just wanted to rest like some of my other colleagues are. They are not very busy. I was always the busiest. And on top of that, I was also the head of the lecturing department. So there was this administrative work that I need to do on top of my academic work that I was doing. And the next thing you know, my wife got pregnant. And the pay from that private college was just not enough to sustain a new family. Yeah. So at that time, I went around looking for jobs, and I found an opening in an insurance company. Now, the insurance company, for me, I wasn't that interested in insurance. What attracted me to the job, and eventually I found out that I was a bit like conned into the job, was the title of the job, which says agency development. And to me, development means teaching, training, developing. I love that. So I went in, I applied the job, I got the job, only to discover that the main function of the job was not developing. When it comes to developing, means that to grow business, to get sales, to hit the target for recruitment, etc. But one of the things that I did was, because I enjoyed the training part so much, I instituted a weekly night meeting for all the agency leaders, for all the insurance agents. And this is on top of, outside of office hours, meaning to say, every Tuesday night from 7 at night to 9 p.m., sometimes 9:30, it's all on my own time. There's no overtime claims, etc. So I made it like every Tuesday, and we call it Power Night. So initially, of course, when I started doing that extra training for the agency, not everyone was keen about it. In fact, during one of the leaders' meeting, one of the more senior agency leader just asked me this question. He asked, "Bong, why do you do this extra thing on Tuesday night? It's very... you are getting people back to come to the workplace again. It's time for the family. Why do you do it? And why do you want everyone to come for it?" I wasn't prepared for the question, by the way, so it took me by surprise. And I remembered I told him, I said, "Do you really think that I'm doing this for fun? It's Tuesday. You have your family to go back to, so do I. You have worked one whole day, so do I. But why do I actually take this extra hours off my own private time, come back to the office every Tuesday and do this training, which will ultimately benefit your team? Think about it." So I told him that. And there was this look on his face whereby suddenly something clicked. And he said, "No more questions asked," and he began to send people to the training. So what happened was, at that time, I told my regional manager, and I said, "Look, our weekly night meeting is really, really doing very well. We attract a lot of people. Sometimes they will bring their own friends who are not insurance agents to come and join the meeting. And eventually they sign up to be an agent because they are being trained by me every Tuesday." And I asked my boss at the time, I said, "Boss, this night meeting that I'm doing and all that, it's not in my KPI, it's not in my job description. So no matter how good I do it, it won't be recognized, And my boss just looked at me and said, "Well, continue doing it, yeah, because I think it is going to increase sales. Maybe the CEO will notice that." So I was a bit I think mixed feelings. On one hand, I totally enjoyed that because I was telling my wife that I have my own training room, a private laboratory to train people, to work with people, to hone my skills. And at the same time, okay, I was feeling a little bit like, but I'm not being paid for this. This is extra job. You know, that kind of uneasy feeling like, why am I doing all these extra things and not being recognized for it? But I continued until about 4.5 years working there. I decided I'm going to stop working there and it's time for me to start my own entrepreneurial journey. And that was when I started my language learning center called Lighthouse Education. And what happened after that was that I transitioned to become a trainer, a corporate trainer at first, where I started to conduct training for companies. They would engage me to conduct training in communication skills, in presentation skills. And those were the things that I started off. And as I was doing this training regularly, and some months I would do it every week, these are the corporate trainings, then I began to realize that, you know, all the years that I put in about 8.5 years to do training, to teach, to do non-stop presentation, and to do to conduct training outside of my normal working hours. I really believe that they were all there to prepare me for the moment when I became a trainer. The realization became so strong, especially when I think about the second or third year when I was starting to become a little bit more well-known locally, where some people begin to ask me, they ask me, I want to be a trainer like you. How can I be a trainer? So I was sharing with them what to do, what to prepare and everything. And one of the things that I noticed was that they were really uncomfortable presenting to a group of people. Whereas to me, I took it for granted because it was like, you have an idea, just stand up there and talk and present and people will love it. Because that was my personal experience. And then suddenly I was brought back to the time when I first spoke to a room full of people. I was a nervous wreck as well. I remembered I forgot lines. I remember I forgot things I wanted to talk about. And then I felt so nervous. I felt like, moments before the presentation start, I felt like I want to run away. Like the movie Julia Roberts, The Runaway Bride. I really felt like escaping like that. And then it began to dawn on me that, all the hardship that I went through, all the difficult parts, all the parts whereby I wasn't appreciated, people didn't recognize the effort that I put in, all those things were there. It happened for me. It happened to prepare me so that when I was ready to launch my career as a trainer, I was already well prepared. I have probably clocked in thousands and thousands of speaking hours, of presenting, of engaging the audience, of thinking of how to craft an idea that will be easy for people to understand. And I have already gone through that. So all the sore throats aside, all the, weekend falling sick aside, was it worth it? You bet. You bet. You bet. See, for me, the things that happen to us, it might be like going through hell. And one of the things that I learned from someone, and I can't remember who said that, it goes like this. If you ever find yourself going through hell, make sure you finish the journey. You don't want to stop halfway and stay in the middle of hell. Got it? If you are going through hell right now, make sure you finish the journey. Make sure you exit the other side. Don't stop now because you are just going to be stuck in hell. So whatever it is that you are going through right now, you may not understand the significance of it right now, and that's okay. That's okay. And what you want to do is you just want to do your best, stay alive every day. Continue to give your very best, even though it's painful, even though it is a burden, even though it is tiring. Because when you continue at it through the next part, what you are going to notice is that the things that have happened to you, the very things that have made you felt like, why did this happen to me in the first place? Yes, those are the things I'm talking about. Then you begin to see that they were meant to prepare you for something better and for something bigger. And sometimes the biggest pain that you have experienced in your life, even right now, just tells you that you will have a great result in the end. Hang in there, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow.